So, welcome everyone. It is great to have you here for this very auspicious occasion. We are hugely excited to come together and celebrate the launch of our toolkit. So, without further ado, I will officially launch our Services for Rural and Remote Allied Health Practice Toolkit. So we will call it, yes, cuts coming from all directions. We will probably just call it the toolkit for the purposes of today. It's easier roll off the tongue. But as President for SARRAH Board and our board rep today, we do have a few online there, I see, but we are really excited to have you all here. I will probably just at this point jump into our acknowledgement of country, as I recognise that we are all coming from all the lands across our great nation. So I do wish to formally acknowledge the traditional owners of the countries throughout Australia, and certainly recognise the lands and the waterways as such precious parts from where we all meet. And I pay my respects as I come to you online from the lands of the Waka Waka people today. We certainly pay our respects to elders past and present, and also thank those First Nations people who are present here with us today. And I would like to acknowledge probably leaders with us here today. So please feel welcome, as we do in SARRAH fashion, to say hi online and share with us where you're joining from today. For today, we will share our stories and reach out to others with our new transition to remote and rural practice toolkit. But we also recognise our First Nations peoples as the first storytellers of this great land, and hope that this resource will truly continue to support the health and wellbeing for all that live there now and in the future. So I will jump in to introduce our panel members today. Adrian is the lucky one who I can see on screen at the moment. So we do have Adrian Shu, who has joined us today to share some of the stories from the first toolkit to now, and certainly one of our passionate advocates for all things rural and remote. And actually, that's probably something I could reflect for all of our panel members here today. So we also have Kath Maloney, who is our SARRAH CEO, who will be joining us and speaking with Adrian together starting off today. And then we also have Julianne Fox, who's our representative from the Rural Workforce Agencies Network. We have Melody Batt, who is SARRAH's Education Program Manager, and who'll probably be ready for a breather after today's launch, as her dedication and along with those contributions from all of our supporters has helped bring us this fabulous outcome with the toolkit. We also have Pam Harvey, who is representing Monash University. We have Renee Moore, the Chief Allied Health Officer of Northern Territory Health. And we also have Paul Gibson, Indigenous Allied Health Australia representative. So thank you all for taking the time to be with us tonight and for getting this toolkit to where it is today. I think probably at this stage, that's my time up. And we are going to hand over now to Kath and Adrian, who will talk to us about the old toolkit and the new toolkit and what it all means for our rural and remote clinicians. So I will hand over.
Thanks, Lisa. And hello, everybody. My part in this is really brief. So when I came on board with SARRAH about 5 years ago, this was a project that had been sitting on the desk for some time. The original toolkit, which Adrian is going to speak to in a moment, was still well utilised by many of the universities, but the platform in which it sat was starting to degrade, and some of the content did require an upgrade, a refresh. So it has taken us a little bit of time to work out how we might do that. And for that, I do need to acknowledge and thank deeply Mel Batt for her contributions here, because I knew that we needed to do this, but I didn't know how we were going to do it, and Mel worked out how. So, so I would also like to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors, without which this work wouldn't be happening. But I particularly want to acknowledge the work and the inspiration that Mel has lent to this entire project. So thank you very much, Mel. And so that's really all I wanted to say. I'll hand over to Adrian now, who's going to walk us through a little bit of how he came to be here.
Thank you, Kath. When I started at the University Department of Rural Health in 2004, the program was basically supported by the Department of Health. And as such, I got to know people from the other jurisdictions as well in Australia, and the policymakers like Renee, who is there tonight as well. And basically, it was developing a professional development program that helped to retain people in rural areas. And from physiotherapy, basically, it started then to expand to 20-odd different allied health professions. That program then, that developed, I think, in an online program as well, where other jurisdictions could be part of. And to expand on that, there was an opportunity in 2007 to go, and I worked a lot together with Karen Stegnidi, who was an occupational therapist by background and became a professor at Deakin University, also with an interest in rural and remote allied health support. So we then started to put an application together for a RESET grant, so the research rural health support in education and training. Our application was commented on, was shortlisted. We basically received many positive comments, and the only thing is there were quite a few applicants, so we just missed out. So then the opportunity came when SARRAH also asked indeed for developing something like that. We then offered the application we had at the time, and we tweaked it a bit more and resubmitted it again, and bingo, we were successful, right? So then we basically started to work together with, I think, Renee, you were part of it as well. So people from all the different jurisdictions, just to make sure there was ownership across Australia in developing a toolkit that helped allied health just to support, especially new graduates in taking up rural positions. So it had a lot of different areas that they could sort of read on, that they could make themselves familiar with. And then it, of course, I think it was launched in 2010. So I think indeed it became very old. So it's very timely after 14 years to have the new program. So that's all from me, I think, in that sense.
Thanks so much, Adrian and Kath. That's it's really exciting to hear where it comes from, and I think the names that circulate within our rural and remote services across. I laugh. Adrian's mentioning Karen Stagnetti, and I still remember attending one of her workshops in a rural town, and it was so exciting that the workshop was provided, not in a city centre. So I think it's really great, and that's part of what I think our new people coming into rural and remote as allied health practitioners will be getting to have those connections with others. So that's a great background. Thank you, Adrian. So I think we have next on our lineup is to hear from Julianne. If you're with us there, I can see you're unmuting, Julian, to hear how you've invested in this program to support us. So I'll hand over to you.
Great. Thank you, Lisa, and thank you, Adrian. It is really interesting to hear about the history of the toolkit and the great work that was done to generate all the content, and a lot of that has certainly been used in this upcoming version. The older version was definitely impressive for its day, I think, which is wonderful. I've got a few slides. I'll just share those. So I guess I'm here on behalf of the Rural Workforce Agency Network, and we're a collaborative group of independent workforce agencies who deliver some common programs on behalf of the Commonwealth. There's rural workforce agencies in every state and in the Northern Territory, and you can see across the bottom there, it's Rural Health West, Rural Workforce Agency, NT, Health Workforce Queensland, New South Wales, Rural Doctors Workforce Network, RWAV in Victoria, RDWA, which is where I'm from, and HR Plus from Tasmania. And the aim of the networks really is to support the health professionals in rural locations to deliver some quality and sustainable primary healthcare services, and ultimately enhancing the health and wellbeing of the communities. I think we're all aware of the challenges that exist in rural and remote communities and the need to support professionals to do what they do best. And the agencies support doctors, nurses and midwives and allied health professionals in their transition to country practice. And we do that through offering a range of programs, whether it's grants and subsidies or relocation support, where we can provide financial help to move, to purchase essential equipment, or just some rental support. So we're really keen to support this toolkit as an opportunity to just support the revitalisation of the old toolkit. It was such a highly valued resource, and really the opportunity for us to build connection with allied health students and professionals interested in rural practice, and try and, I guess, help them become aware of some of the services and supports that might be available to them if they're thinking about working rurally. And I was on the steering committee, and really, as the project evolved and progressed, you can see the resources developed and provided so many practical tips about working in rural settings, and not all of those are taught in the tertiary space. So it really does give people, I guess, a helping hand to start off on the right foot. Certainly also the toolkit has really changed, and it just really promotes positive real life stories. I think it's really great to challenge that perception of rural practice and make sure that it's showcasing all the positive aspects to working and living rurally. And also the new feature of the toolkit, which I'm sure we'll hear about shortly, gives users an opportunity to build professional networks, and we're hoping that collegial support really helps the professionals to stay in rural environments. And as mentioned by Kath and Lisa, it's really the steering committee members did such a wonderful job, and on behalf of the network, just like to acknowledge the work and the dedication over, I think it has been 15 months. It's been quite a long project, and during that time, Melody's definitely kept us all focused and on track. So especially like to thank her for her work in pulling this together. Yeah, it's really exciting to launch this resource, and let's have a look. Let's have a look at it. I'll hand back over to Melody, I think.
Hi everyone, and welcome to this quick tour of the SARRAH Toolkit. As you can see, we're in the new SARRAH Circle, which has got lots of interesting things for you. Lots of new content is also coming. So here's the toolkit. It's made up of places and spaces. There are 14 modules and a lot of discussion groups and other add-ons, which we'll get to in a minute. Let's have a look at a module. This is module 1. Remote and rural allied health, the inside story. So all the modules are like this. There's content for you to explore. You just click through the lessons that you can see. Sometimes there's videos, there's things to read. Sometimes there's activities. When you see a red circle, that's a signal to you that there's something for you to do. There's information, it's like this, and then there's an activity. Just for a minute, let's talk about cultural safety. So as part of the toolkit, we urge everyone to undertake the IHA training. Skills and cultural responsiveness is vital to your allied health practice. IHA are the experts, and as the toolkit participant, you'll get a discount. Thank you to our partners, IHA, for this. Before we were talking about the modules in the toolkit, there's also some spaces. One of them is called community profiles. What we've done in the toolkit is build in activities so that over time you'll develop a profile on a community that you're interested in or where you're working or you'd like to work. And then over time as well, there is more, as there's more people in there, it'll build up a lovely knowledge bank about community and health services and your network. Perhaps you'll find other people to connect with that are going to be in the same community as you. Another way that we've got for introducing you to people and for inspiring you is the site called Stories of Success, that where people are sharing their story about working in rural and remote health. So that's another thing we've added into the toolkit. We also have a mentoring program. Sarah has a brand new mentoring program based on the GROW model. So what you do is you do the course, and then after you've done the course, you can access the mentoring directory and the mentoring discussion board. You can look for a mentor, you can offer to be a mentor, or both. And over time, again, this is a space that will grow. This space is open to all toolkit participants, all SARRAH members, and all project participants. Okay, so there's a lot going on in the toolkit. It's a big resource for you. It's designed to be either taken as a step-by-step, or you can access topics as you need them. So for example, if you were doing an assignment, say working on teams in rural and remote allied health, then you could access module 10, working in teams. That's about it. See you in the toolkit.
Thanks so much, Mel. I know that was the video part, Mel, but was there anything you wanted to add just before we jump on to the next person, just in case I'm assuming that?
Oh, I guess I'd like to say that if you wanted to talk about the difference between the original toolkit and the revised toolkit, it's the ability to network with each other. It's the ability to connect with other people, other professionals who are working in remote and rural allied health, and that's all this great interactivity that's in there. And of course, we've also added in the allied health assistant as an audience for the toolkit. So it's not just for allied health professionals. This toolkit will also works for allied health assistants. And of course, and we've also designed it to be a work in progress. So it's fully formed now, but as things come across, as the industry updates, this toolkit can be updated as we go. Whereas before, the old one was quite static in its content. We couldn't really change it. Whereas this one has got all the flexibility in the world. Thanks to the teams. Thanks, Lisa.
That's great. Thank you, Mel. And I think another exciting difference with the new toolkit is also that ability to build your community profile. And I think that's, that's a really exciting feature. I think coming new into a new community to have the assistance to do that with a dedicated focus and to do that well, because we have this collective resource of those that are supported both in the development of the toolkit, but then in that connection as well. I think that, that support to those new to a region is really going to benefit and help them to hit the ground running, as we know is often the case with our slightly reduced workforce, as we know, in rural and remote areas at times. So I think that's a really great addition to the toolkit and a difference as well. So thanks, Mel. So I think next up we have Pam. I can't see you on my screen, but I saw you earlier, so I might hand over to Pam now.
I am here, Lisa. All good. Thanks very much. I'm Pam Harvey from Monash Rural Health, Monash University. And look, it hasn't been said before, but I think we need to thank Mel for all her work. You're going to get this every time, Mel, because she's just done the most extraordinary amount of work and been very patient with us as we've reviewed and edited, etc. Monash is really proud to support this toolkit. We're one of 19 UDRHs across Australia. So our aim across those UDRHs is to train up rural workforce people to come into rural areas. And what the toolkit really provides, that I think Julianne said before, that perhaps health professional education doesn't always provide, is the context of rural health and how you work among rural populations and the general skills that are often needed to meet those rural populations' healthcare needs. So this toolkit, what I'm hoping is, will be accessed by students as well as those already having made the decisions to work in rural health, so they understand a little bit more of the nuances of rural areas, whether that be in Victoria where I'm based or more remotely. So it's a great opportunity to have this resource at hand for our students and our new health professionals. And of course, as well as Mal, there are a few other people involved in reviewing the content of the toolkit. And I'd like to thank all those people who took their time to work through is that 14 modules, Mal? Once you've gone over them once and twice and 3 times, it feels like 100 modules, but they're really great in-depth modules. And particular thanks to Krana Plus, who I think it was module 7 that they put a lot into. Wherever you are, Christy, I can't see you on my screen, but thank you very much to Krana Plus for that. And everyone else, all those individuals. And you highlighted, Mel, that we can get in there and change things as things change rurally and across Australia in healthcare. But we're also up for feedback, aren't we? If people want to think something needs to be added or changed, or they've got, really something important they think that needs to be showcased. And that's the beauty of this toolkit. This circle framework that it sits in is really one of the nicest platforms that I've seen, and having been in the higher education sector, and Adrian, you'll agree with this, for many decades now, some of those learning platforms are pretty ordinary. So this Circles is really great. So I think that's all I had to say, Lisa. Just been great to be part of the steering committee, and wonderful to be able to offer sponsorship for the toolkit.
Thank you so much, Pam. And it is with truly great thanks that we do thank all of our sponsors. This couldn't have happened without you. It is, as we like to say, a crowdsourced program. So, it is great to see that recognition and to hear you share too that, with your experience, that it is a really user-friendly platform. And I know, there was a lot of work going into the selection and the options for this. So that's great to hear from the committee. And I think now at this point we're handing over to you, Renee, as a long-standing SARRAH member and contributor to these resources. I would take great delight to hand over to you now.
Thanks, everyone. Gee, I feel old. But I do. It's lovely to see everyone around the table, and it was a bit of a no-brainer for NT to sponsor this. We've had a long-term engagement with SARRAH in terms of our staff are actively involved in promoting SARRAH, which is fantastic to see, and have been involved in this toolkit. And I was involved, as Adrian mentioned, with fellow colleagues like Suzanne Spitz and Elaine Jeske and lots of others. And my memory is going. So in terms of remembering everyone, I look back at those, the sort of kind of templates that we worked with, the platform that we worked with. It was pretty, at the time, it seemed pretty innovative because it was a little bit interactive, and you could, add things, and you could have little talking bubbles and various other things. But it's nice to hear the reflection that the content has, done well to stand some of the test of time, but the flexibility around this platform is fantastic. And I really want to thank Mel and really congratulate the committee for a fantastic resource, and to be able to keep focused on the content and keep looking and revising the content. But it sounds like you've had really great involvement, real diverse views around the content, which is fantastic. So, for us in the NT, in terms of why we sponsored it, NT Health sponsored it, obviously, you realise that, majority of our people are in rural remote. We're all sort of in rural remote, even in Darwin, but and that we do have such, you know, significant recruitment and retention issues, and also our ability to support our staff, both within NT Health and the broader NT allied health workforce. And you know, the toolkit will provide great opportunity for people to learn and develop. We've got lots of new graduates. We've got new school on board with CDU, starting a whole range of allied health courses, long-term partnership with Flinders and other universities around the country, but very exciting to have our own courses up and running. So I can, you know, we can really see how that the toolkit will also influence the teaching of our students that will be coming into our workforce, which is very exciting. And obviously that just-in-time learning, that ability to dip in and out of it and really be challenged by it, even from people who've got a lot of experience in rural remote, and to also have that validation of what they're doing is you know, up to date and progressive and innovative. And I think for us around the allied health learning needs, it'll fit really well with some of the work we're doing around our own education and training within NT Health, and also providing great opportunities in terms of our continuous quality improvement of what we're doing. And I think we still forget how isolated people are, and even though we are much more connected now, there is still, you know, a real need to think about the health and well-being of our allied health workforce. So I really like this toolkit so much, and you know, you've mentioned it, Mel, as well as others, that and Pam, that it's the strength in this toolkit is not only providing information and education and cross-sharing of ideas and resources, but that connectivity, that shared understanding and shared ability to work together, even though we've got you know, a distance happening between us. And I think Sarah's done a great job with a lot of its programs and projects over the years, and its ability to really, you know, connect people. So yeah, I just would really encourage people to, you know, to take up the toolkit, and as organisations take up the toolkit, we'll be launching it off our intranet page from tomorrow with our media and comms. We heard our minister wants to sort of give it a plug, so let's see what happens. But we are in an election year, yeah. So look, we'll be really excited to see it out there and have it used. So thanks very much, everyone, for getting it up and refreshed and looking young again, which I hope we'd all feel that way after 14 years. So fantastic. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Renee. And I think a really great point you flagged there is that ability of the tool to transcend the organisation, you know, that we can have our students coming in. I'm already excited about the students that are coming into our region, but, you know, that's supporting them to have that consistency as they then move into the workforce or, you know, move to a different location. So I think that's a really important flag that you've highlighted there with that student aspect as well as the workforce. So it's so great to hear that promotion happening as well. We want everyone to know about it. So go hard with your media and comms, everyone. So next up, we have Paul. So Paul Gibson, I can see you online. I'll hand over to you, Paul.
Thanks, Lisa. And apologies for going on and off camera. I've got a very excited 5-month-old golden retriever running around, and she doesn't think I should be doing anything else. Pleased to be joining tonight from the lands of the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people, beautiful Canberra, where I live and work. I'd just like to acknowledge their elders, past, present and future. And it's, I guess, it's ironic in some respects that I joined from the one jurisdiction without a rural workforce agency, but my family have strong ties to country New South Wales, and I have the privilege of living, as I said, living and working here in Canberra and working for an organisation like IHA, who has a strong commitment to rural and remote Australia in particular. So, yeah, very grateful to contribute in this space. And IHA are obviously a really view Sarah as a really important partner and relationship for us, has been for a period of time. And one of the ways that we've been able to contribute is to help facilitate access to our CR training module. And I thought I'll just share screen and show a diagram there. So hopefully everyone can see that. But I obviously view this rural and remote practice toolkit as being a really important enabler to help people work in new communities and to understand, I guess, their role within the broader community, to work from a strengths-based perspective. And one of the things that we teach at IHA is cultural responsiveness, which is our approach to cultural safety. And we do that through a lens of knowing, being, and doing. So what do we need to know to be culturally responsive? How do we incorporate that knowledge into our values and our behaviours? And then how do we put it into practice? How do we actually practice cultural safety in our context? And to teach that, we also focus on six key capability areas, which are also shown on screen there. So engagement, leadership, self-awareness, respect for culture, responsibility and accountability, and proactivity. And these are capabilities that we view as being essential for all peoples, to understand how our own experiences, our upbringing, our culture influence our practice, to understand how to work with the strengths of the community, as I said, how to demonstrate leadership and practice, and to do that within a rural and remote context, and how, I guess, to manage that responsibility and accountability to rural and remote communities. And I think we obviously view, as I said, cultural safety as being really foundational to practice in all settings for all people. But we think it's a really important part of the toolkit. And as I said, we're really grateful for Sarah including our content in that way. And we really encourage people to make use of all the modules, both on the SARRAH Toolkit, but also through the IHA cultural training as well. So I think that was all really to say from my perspective, but just to also thank all those involved in the production of the toolkit, including acknowledging the work of my colleague Kylie Stothers, who was our representative through that process. But yeah, to acknowledge everyone who's contributed both in the past and also into the future.
Thanks so much, Paul. I'm struggling with the finding the mute won't come up on my phone. But right back at you, Paul. I think you know, that ability to really show that link with Sarah and IHA, and that resource that you have is such a valuable tool for anyone working in rural and remote, and I would say certainly not just rural and remote, but that ability to connect in direct has been very much appreciated by us as an organisation and all of the collaborators. So thank you so much to IHA for all the work you do. So I think it was our last sort of official speaker for tonight. And I think from my perspective, in summary of tonight, I think that we as SARRAH have that vision for rural and remote Australian communities to have the allied health services that support their equitable and sustainable health and wellbeing. That is us. That's what we're here for. This toolkit and all of the help that we've had to get there is really providing our professionals and our allied health assistants out there to help give them that information to inform and influence. This is coming right out of our, you know, our values and our vision statements. So, you know, it is really allowing us to show how we're doing that grassroots sharing, how we've seen that consultation happening through this process, the refresh, the making sure it's connecting with those that are working and living in rural and remote communities now. So I really think it does show the SARRAH can-do attitude, which is also what we promote as an organisation. But I think this resource is really out there to be used. And thank you to everyone, to our sponsors, certainly the Rural Workforce Agencies Network, Monash, Northern Territory Health, and the support with IHA. We truly couldn't have done it with you, nor could we have done it without all of those who have shared their stories, and we hope to have heaps more of them as we go forward. So if you've been here tonight, please, we want to see you jump on and share your knowledge and experience, and yeah, we'll look forward to seeing it come through the media and comms as the next few days go on. Kath, I think we do have time now, though, for general discussion. If anyone else wanted to join in, I think I am actually handing over to Kath now that we have the official launch. If anyone would like to, have some general comments, you can obviously do that in the chat as well. But yeah, if you'd like to share and join in, now's the time.
Yes, thanks, Lisa. We couldn't really have a gathering of SARRAH members without the opportunity for a yarn. So, so this is just a chance to, if anybody wanted to let us know what they think, or if they had anything to share, a nice recipe. I can empathise with Paul's situation with his golden retrieval, because I've got a 15-week Groodle sitting at home, wondering where the hell I am. She was here in the office yesterday. So, yes, I understand your pain.
If I could just say, when we first started talking about sort of doing the toolkit, and we looked for money and no one would give us money, the federal government would said no to our funding application. And then we made that decision to go out and ask for sponsors. But none of this would have been possible without the vision, without your vision, and without the vision and support of the board. And so, you know, this has been a real team effort at SARRAH. Like, I know I've been getting a lot of the thanks, but really I've just sat in the centre of a very large team. So thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, Mel. Yeah, as I said, it was when I started, it was sitting on the desk there. The board were keen to see it, this work done. And it took, because I didn't know, I just didn't know. We had applied for a number of grants and were unsuccessful because it didn't quite fit the guidelines. For those who apply for lots of grants, I'm sure you understand, it never quite fitted any particular grant opportunities. So, so it was Mel, though, who decided that we'll just do it and we'll crowdfund it. And if you build it, they will come. So, but we very much thank the rural workforce agencies, Monash and NT Health, for coming on board with us. It's been fantastic to have your support.
Kath, I am a little reminded that there was a similar drive for the first toolkit. So there's just something in it, isn't there? In the concept and the idea of how we have people who want to share what it is to be a rural health and remote health practitioner, want to make sure other people know and understand it, and really are keen to make it happen. So I think that was the flavour of the first toolkit as well. So, you know, that tenacity and perseverance, I think, is, you know, very much ingrained in SARRAH's, you know, DNA. And I think it really comes out with, you know, things that really matter. You know, that's why it maintained its, even though it was sitting there for a while and, you know, bumbled along and potentially wasn't going anywhere. I think that, yeah, you do get that sense that there's something there that keeps it going, and people's interest in it. So I'm really pleased to see it back.
Yeah, absolutely, Renee. And the fact that, you know, when we called for people to help, advisory committee members, you all came. You know, that was, to me, a very exciting to see the number of people who were willing and very able to contribute to the refresh. So thank you, all the committee members. Meredith.
Thanks, Kath. Just by way of introduction, my name is Meredith. I represent the Health Workforce Queensland. I head up the Future Workforce team within Health Workforce Queensland, which essentially means I have the privilege of working with health students. So firstly, congratulations on the relaunch of what is obviously a really invaluable resource for students and early career graduates. I have a question. We run the Grow Rural program, which currently is rolled out in North Queensland and Southwest Queensland, and we have a cohort of up to 25 students per region, made up of multidisciplinary health students who we take on board from first year right through to placement within those communities as early career graduates. And so we're very interested in the toolkit. And my question is there a cost involved? And I'm also interested in terms of, because we will be working directly with the practices in terms of supervision, whether the toolkit is available to the practices as well as to the early career graduates. Thank you.
It's a good question, Meredith, because as a toolkit sponsor, Rural Health Workforce Queensland will have access to the toolkit, a number of licenses. We'll probably have to take it on notice and come back to you whether or not your students will be able to access it. So, but that's a very good thought and a very good question. So let's talk.
Thank you, Kath. Appreciate that.
If I can jump in and just say, SARRAH membership and $50. That's all it costs. So if you're not a SARRAH member, become a SARRAH member, and then it's $50.
Sounds reasonable. Thank you. Thanks, Mel.
And for students in the Rural Workforce Agency's cases, they get free membership, which brings that cost back to $50.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Meredith. Talia.
Mine is just more of a reflection. It's been so lovely to work along so many people in the steering committee who we all have like minds. So rural and remote health is what we're all here for, and it's really lovely to be a part of that. And from an organisational perspective, I suppose I'm so grateful that the toolkit has launched. With our new grads, I think it's going to be a really lovely entry into the workforce. So really happy that this is happening and that I got to be a part of it. So thank you.
Thank you for your contributions, Talia. It's been fantastic. It's been just so incredible to watch it all come together. Are there any other questions, comments, reflections? Scott, I can see you online.
Thanks for that. Hello.
Is he lost for words? Sorry, I keep freezing. So.
Hey, Kath, hi all. Scott Davis. No, I'm just really excited to see it being revitalised. It was a great toolkit back in this day, and I'm just energised by the fact that the community has come together to reinvest in the tools that we need to develop the next generation of workforce. It's just really exciting, and congratulations to all involved. I've been involved in SARRAH for quite some time now, and I'm going to be using it myself. I've already had a sneaky peek, and it's really looking good. Congratulations.
Thanks, Scott, and thanks for being put on the spot like that and responding so graciously. So thank you. Alrighty, I won't pick on anybody else. But yes, we might bring this to a close. I'm going to hand back to Lisa in a moment if nobody has any last minute thoughts or reflections. I said I wasn't going to pick on anybody, but I reckon we should pick on the founding father of SARRAH and ask him to say a few things. So Michael Bishop. Can you address us?
The new PM too, isn't it?
That's right. That's right. Becoming a politician. How hysterical is that? Look, SARRAH is really about helping each other, because we couldn't get our national associations, we couldn't get the big players in town to look after us. So we decided to look after each other, and that's what we do. The very, very remote allied health group, That's what we do, and that we're still doing it, and that's why it works, because it's grounded, it's real, it's based, it makes a difference, and it's about having a fire in the belly. And Catherine's here, and Renee, like, we've all done this. It's about fire in the belly, you know, and it's about caring for each other and not letting things get in the way. And I'm the most impatient person in the world, as everybody knows, and I want the world to be fixed by about 10 years ago. But this is something that started a very long time ago, and we should be so proud that we're part of something that has made a really big difference for a lot of people and will continue to do that. So I'm just so inspired and thankful for everybody here. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks. So, yeah, thanks, Michael. I think that fire in the belly, true words be said. I think the other thing that I will just pop in before I close this off for today is that our rural and remote clinicians are also known to be very good socialisers and networkers. And we do have the abstracts closing for our conference at the end of the year. So just a quick plug, I think it's 15th of March they're due. So, we've still got time to get those stories in and come together and share as we do best. So yeah, looking forward to Mildura later in October, I think 21st to 23rd. So it would be remiss of me if I didn't give that a quick plug to, those of you that are last minute with your abstract submissions. We've still got time to get in there and get them in. And as we share and work forward with the toolkit, I think it will be a really great story to get and hear that feedback on the toolkit in person as well at that time. So without further ado, thank you everyone for your time and to be here with us to launch today. It's exciting times, and I think we're all just keen to get into it and show it with the staff that we work with, to share it with our students, to share it with those who can bring their knowledge and help others. So please go forward and tell 20 or 30 people you know about it tomorrow, and we'll be kicking off great guns.
Thank you, Lisa. And I think it is great that the toolkit survived, right? And this has been renewed. So it's wonderful, wonderful.
Very
Serving
true.
remotely located health professionals. So success with the conference.
Great stuff. All right. Well, I think on that point, thank you all.
Yeah.
And we'll look forward to seeing you soon in a SARRAH Circle, maybe.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.